Hi, fourth and fifth graders. You guys have been doing such a great job determining the theme. You've been given different passages, different stories to read, and you're doing a really nice job. We've been focusing a lot on determining theme in stories and fiction. Today I want to switch gears a little bit and review narrative nonfiction. It's one of my favorite genres. And just to review what narrative nonfiction is, narrative nonfiction, it includes facts and text features, right? It's based on real events, but it tells like a story. So rather than just it being like an article with the text features and all the facts, it opens up, it presents like a story. Usually there's a problem, a resolution. So in order to read narrative nonfiction, you have to go in with both lenses, both the narrative lens and also the nonfiction lens. So be thinking about this time in history if you're reading about it, or be thinking about what's happening now with the facts and all that. But also really paying attention to the characters, right? And in a narrative nonfiction text, we call the character a subject. So today we're going to do a read aloud. I'm really excited. And I know that 401, we started to read the chapter book of this, but we didn't get to finish. And it's the story, The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind. And just to really orient you guys with the text, I'll read the back to you. The true story of a boy whose great idea and perseverance lit up his home and inspired the world. Okay? So I'm going to read this to you guys, and while I'm reading, I want you guys to be kind of thinking, what is a theme in this story? And there's more than one theme. Okay. So, in a small village in Malawi where people had no money for lights, nightfall came quickly and hurried poor farmers to bed. But for William, the darkness was best for dreaming. He dreamed of building things and taking them apart, like the trucks with bottle cap wheels parked under his bed, and pieces of radios that he'd crack open and wonder, if I can hear the music, then where is the band? His grandparents' tales of magic also whispered in the pitch black of his room. Witch planes passed through the window, while ghost dancers twirled around the room as if 100 men were inside their bodies. At dawn, in the fields, William scanned the maize rows for magical beings, then wondered, as a truck rumbled past, how does its engine make it go? Pay attention where you throw that hoe, his father shouted. You'll cut off your foot. Busy daydreaming. For all its power over dancers and flying things, magic could not bring the rain. Without water, the sun rose angry each morning and scorched the fields, turning the maize into dust. Without food, Malawi began to starve. Soon, William's father gathered the children and said, from now on, we eat only one meal per day. Make it last. In the evenings, they'd sat around the lantern and ate their handful, watching hungry people pass like spirits along the roads. Money also disappeared with the rain. Pepani, his father said, I am sorry. You will have to drop out of school. Now William stood on the road and watched the lucky students pass, alone with the monster in his belly and the lump in his throat. For weeks he'd sulked under the mango tree, until he remembered the library down the road, a gift from the Americans. He found science books filled with brilliant pictures. With his English dictionary close by, William put together how engines moved those big trucks and how radios pulled their music from the sky. But the greatest picture of all was a machine taller than the tallest tree with blades like a fan. A giant pinwheel? Something to catch magic? He closed his eyes and saw a windmill outside his home, pulling electricity from the breeze and bringing light to the dark valley. He saw the machine drawing cool water from the ground, sending it gushing through the thirsty fields, turning the maize tall and green, even when farmers' prayers for rain went unanswered. This windmill was more than a machine. It was a weapon to fight hunger. Majestia Memphero, he whispered. I will build an electric wind. In the junkyard, pieces appeared like rusted treasures in the tall grass. A tractor fan, some pipe, and bearings and bolts that required every muscle to remove. Tonga, he'd shout to the birds and spiders, holding up his prize. But as William dragged his metals home, people called out, That boy is Masala. Only crazy people play with trash. After many weeks, William arranged his pieces in the dirt, a broken bicycle, rusted bottle caps, and plastic pipe, even a small generator that powered a headlight on a bike. For 3 days, he bolted, banged, and tinkered, while chickens squawked and dogs barked, and neighbors shook their heads, saying, What's Masala doing now? His cousin, Geoffrey, and best friend Gilbert soon appeared. Muli bin Wanji, they greeted. Can we help with electric wind? Grab your pangas and follow me, he said, and took them into the forest. Together they swung their sharp blades into the trunks of blue gum trees, then hammered them together to make the tower. Standing atop, William shouted, Bring it up! While the boys tugged and heaved. A crowd gathered below and gazed at the strange machine, and now leaned and wobbled like a clumsy giraffe. Some giggled, others teased, but William waited for the wind. Like always, it came. First a breeze, then a gusting gale. The tower swayed and the blades spun around. With sore hands, once slowed by hunger and darkness, William connected wires to a small bulb, which flickered at first, then surged as bright as the sun. Tonga, he shouted, I have made electric wind. Wacha babuino, a man yelled. Well done! As the doubters clapped and cheered, William knew he had just begun. Light could not fill empty bellies, but another windmill could soak the dry ground, creating food where once there was none. Megetsi Amimfo, electric wind, can feed my country, William thought. And that was the strongest magic of all. Okay? And then I'm not going to read this page, but I am going to include the information about the boy's name. So William Kapkwamba, he lived in Malawi, and this is a true story, and he really did this. So I'm going to make sure I put his name in case you guys want to do some research. That's the other really nice thing about narrative nonfiction, because you're reading about real people, real events, real things. You can do some research to really learn more. But again, remembering that narrative nonfiction tells a story, right? You could see the illustrations, and right away we were able to identify the character or subject, the problem, the resolution, and definitely central message and theme coming through. So your assignment today is to be able to determine what is a theme in this story. And I want you guys to support it with events, support it with details from the text. You can kind of think back on the events that happened. Okay? So thank you for listening, and I look forward to reading about the themes you come up with.